Hey, Dan here, and in this video you're going to learn some of the best careers for ENFJs, and also, I think more importantly, some of the things to look for in a profession. You know, it's 2019 now. There are so many different ways you can earn a living, and so often the typical career lists, like you can be a lawyer, a doctor, or accountant, don't apply nearly as much now. So knowing what you should look for in a work environment can often be just as, if not more important, than figuring out the specific kind of profession. First things first, it is so important when you're thinking about either picking your career, like maybe you're 18 and you're figuring out what your college major should be now, or maybe you're 38 and you're figuring out, hey, I don't love my career now, I want to make a change. Whatever stage you're in, it is essential to follow your own path and to trust yourself that if you're not happy where you are, then there's a very good chance you should change, and that the advice you get from other people will usually carry some kind of bias. Now, I don't mean like the evil overlord bias where they're trying to cram you into some machine, but people have their own biases, right? Most people are risk averse. So if you're 35, 40, and you're thinking of changing a career, personally, I say go for it. I say it's worth taking a risk to spend the rest of your life being happier. But people who are more risk averse are gonna look at you and say, hey, you spent all that time on this education, you'll be starting over again, blah, 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 and they'll project their own fears onto you. Similarly, if you're younger and you're picking your major, be cautious about who you get advice from, right? When someone's giving you advice on what to do in life, one of the ways you can tell if they're full of shit or not is if they ask you questions and listen to you first. So if someone's telling you, hey, you know what, you should be an accountant, or you should go and be a consultant or something, are they asking you what you like? Are they getting to know you really well first and then saying, hey, do this? Or are they just saying, hey, accountants pay well, or they're projecting what they do or what they wish they did for a living onto you? That's really, really important. There are so many possibilities in terms of what you can actually do for a living. And yes, some do tend to pay better than others, and some do have more demand than others. But ultimately, if you do the thing you enjoy and are good at, you'll end up making more money in a lower demand field than if you go into something that maybe has high demand, but you don't like it, you're not very good at it, you're sort of forcing your way through and all that. So for me, I think it's so important to follow your heart, follow that voice in your head, and actually do the thing you want to do. Now, when it comes to the type of place you should work, the perception versus reality becomes really, really important. I filmed another video on this in general about how we might look at a profession from the outside and we love the purpose of the work, say being a counselor. We like, helping people, helping them figure out what they want to do, maybe like a high school counselor. But the reality of dealing with bureaucracy and maybe people with egos you work with or whatever else may not actually translate into the type of work you thought you were getting. So I want to cover some of the things that are really, really important for ENFJs in terms of your work environment. Sometimes you may find that within the same profession, you have dramatically different environments. So if you find the right environment for you, the profession will be so much more satisfying and fulfilling. Whereas if you end up in a toxic environment, the same profession will end up being draining and unfulfilling. So the first thing that's really important for you as an ENFJ is to be around people and be in a positive environment. You should be in an environment that is generally conflict-free, that's more focused on collaboration, on helping, on contributing. And within that environment, there should be a very good reward system. You want to know that the work you're doing means something, and you want to be rewarded for that. If you're working harder than someone else, you'd like to be rewarded for that, and not be in a system where it's maybe driven by politics or seniority, where, okay, you're working twice as hard as this person and you're producing better results, but they've been there longer, so they get more than you. You're gonna find that really frustrating. The next thing that's really important is within your position, you should be able to see the bigger picture. You should know the purpose of your work. What is it doing? What is the big picture? Not everyone needs this. A lot of people are fine kind of doing their little work and focusing what they're told to do, but that's not you. You need to know the bigger picture. And with that, the bigger picture should be something positive. Ultimately, you're going to want to work in an environment where you're contributing something good to the world, and doing that in a capacity where you have enough autonomy to actually make an impact as well. So within that profession, yes, you want to understand the big picture. Yes, that big picture should be contributing as well. And third is, within your role, you should have enough autonomy and control to use your organizational skills, use your decision-making skills, and make an impact on your own, not be stuck in some kind of bureaucracy or some kind of corporate structure that doesn't allow you the freedom to apply yourself and get results. Now, as an ENFJ, you care about personal growth and you love new experiences. So this needs to be part of your work as well. You need to have the opportunity to be working with a diverse range of people, to have new challenges, to have the opportunity to take on different types of projects, and just stay stimulated, essentially. If you're doing the same thing every day, you're going to get bored with it. It doesn't mean you have to be radically changing directions all the time, but having some diversity and the ability to explore new ideas, new concepts, to be learning what's new maybe and cutting edge is going to be really satisfying for you and really important within the role. So overall, I want to summarize and then I'll cover some different groups of professions, specific professions that can be really good for ENFJs. Overall, you want to be in an environment that is supportive, that is friendly, where you get along with a diverse group of people. You want to be doing things that are sometimes new and have different approaches and have the autonomy to get things done, to know what the big picture is and to be working towards that cause with enough freedom to actually make things happen. You don't want to feel like you're a clog in the machine doing work for work's sake and not actually getting anything done. And of course, the work needs to be aligned with your beliefs and your personal values. If you're not aligned with it, maybe you'll be able to do it for a year or two. Maybe you'll say, hey, the money's good, it's worth it. But that's not going to last your lifetime. You're not going to be happy doing work that isn't aligned with your value system. Now, I promised I would share some different groups of professions and specific professions within that are great for ENFJs. The first I would put as the public eye. This would be things like being a writer or a journalist, being a news broadcaster, being a communications director, maybe working in PR. ENFJs, you're pretty good at being like polished, presentable, that sort of thing, at least when you want to be. And so being in that kind of public figure can be a really good profession for you. You could even throw politician in with that, although you'd really want to be careful about the type of political environment you're in. I would imagine that in many countries in 2019, the political environment may not be that friendly, conflict-free environment that you so love. The next group I would say is creative professions. Things like being a copywriter, a graphic designer, an artist, some kind of media producer, so maybe producing or creating videos. Someone where you're basically creating things. You know, one of the things that I didn't mention earlier, but is really important to understand, is that there's a difference between your personality and your passions. And so ENFJs can love a variety of things. There's ENFJs who are extremely creative artists. There's ENFJs who are politicians, who are deans of schools and business directors. It really depends on a lot more than just your personality type. And so within this media categories, it's basically about creating stuff. What you create and how you create it will be more based on your personality. And I'm sure you already know, if you love writing or you love making video or you love making music, that's probably something you already know, and know that your personality is quite aligned with doing that. Next up, I would say, are corporate world professions. Things like being a sales trainer, a HR manager, some kind of manager in general, or a consultant. Within the corporate world in general, where ENFJs will do their best is going to be in more training and supportive roles. An ENFJ will be a better sales trainer than they will be an actual salesperson themselves. And so look for a role where you can support other people, even if you're at a high level within the company. And that's probably where you're going to do best. The next group of professions I would call the helpers and healers. This would be things like being a therapist or counselor, being a psychologist, being a coach, maybe being someone that helps people figure out like what they want to do for a living. Could even get into things like holistic health, but ultimately working with people one-on-one and helping them in some area of their life, something ENFJs excel in. And the last area that is great for ENFJs is around teaching. This could be anything from being a teacher to being the dean of students and everything in between. Being a college professor, being a high school teacher, ENFJs are amazing teachers, so anything to do with education, there's a very good chance you can do well and that you can excel. So now it's your turn. In the comment section below, I would love to hear either the professional choices you've made and what your experiences have been, or what you're thinking about doing and what your debate is, and if this video has helped you get more clarity. By the way, if you're new to the channel, I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, primarily for idealist personality types, helping us become the best version of ourselves, all while creating the most awesome life possible for us and those we love. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified of new videos, and I will catch you in a new video very soon. Ciao.